Okay, friendos, time to play a game called What the Fuck? So I had a job interview down on Queen Street and moving along. So I gotta go to Ossington Station to get on the subway to get home. And there's this park on the corner of Queen and University. Like not the African genocide one, but right across the road from it, like facing it. There's a statue of this guy. And the statue says, "These businesses built this statue to honor this guy because he's awesome." And it bothers the hell out of me, because I'm like, well, why isn't it this statue was built in honor of this guy by these companies? Like, why are the companies listed before the guy who the fucking statue represents? That's some weird-ass vanity going on there. Moving along. So I'm sitting on a bench in the park. I'm drinking my coffee. My black coffee. Black like my soul. And this girl comes like half-assedly sprinting into the park and sits right beside me. No, there's like a bench across from me that nobody's sitting on, but no, like right beside, like arm to arm. And I go to look over her and be like, "Good day." But before I can say anything, in the fastest dialogue I have ever heard a human being say in my life, like just warp speed verbalization, she just looks at me and she's like, "There's this guy following me. He's wearing a yellow hat and a gray sweater. Pretend you know me. I called my friend. They're on their way here." And I'm looking at her. And I'm about to say, "What the fuck?" when who comes walking into the park but a guy in a yellow hat and a gray sweater. And he sits on the bench across from us and stares at her. And I'm like, there's like maybe 15 feet between us. So anything we say, this guy's gonna hear. And I'm like, this girl's like late teens, early 20s. I don't know what the fuck little girls like. So I'm like, "Do you like my new shoes? I just picked these up at a thrift store today. Pretty badass, huh? Good deal." She's like, "Oh, yeah, like the fucking cork heel. That's pretty badass. Like, good for you. Blah, blah, blah." And so I'm sitting like looking at her. And out of the corner, like, I just have to kind of twist my eyes over, and I got a perfect visual of him, so I can kind of bounce back and forth. And he's, like, he's leaning forward on the bench, looking at her. And he's got his phone out. And I see his phone do this. And then tilt back down. And he's looking at her the whole time. And just little subtle. Phone goes straight. And his phone goes down. And I'm like, motherfucker's taking pictures of her. Like, we're gonna die. And this is, at least I'm gonna die in a park I like hanging out in, I guess. So we're talking about like shoes and clothing and things that I assume little girls want to talk about. She's holding up her end of the conversation, so I'm like, "Hey, yeah, you know, it sounds like we actually know each other." And he's fucking staring a hole through her, and all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, she's like, "Oh my god, you haven't been to my house for a while. I got a new dog." And she hands me her phone. She's like, "Here's some pictures." So I take her phone from her, and it's the text, and it says, "Just got to the subway station, who are you with?" So I'm like, "Oh, little cute, little puppy. Oh, what's your name?" And as I'm like doing this shit, I type my name in and hit send. And I hand her back her phone, and I'm like, "Oh, little cutie." And she's like, "Hey, so like, when are you gonna get a dog?" And I'm like, I always wanted a chinchilla, just so I could tell people I have a pet chinchilla. I don't know what the fuck a chinchilla is. Like a squirrel or a little Pikachu looking fucking thing. I don't know. So as we're like Because she doesn't know what the hell a chinchilla is either. So between the two of us, we're trying to figure out what the fuck a chinchilla is. And somebody calls to us as they're walking into the park, and I look over and I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus, in a birch bark canoe, your friend's a woman. Like, between the three of us, we have the intimidation factor of a baby deer. We're gonna die. So her friend comes walking over, she gets up, so I'm like, well, fuck, I get up. Her friend gives me, like, the fakest hug you could ever fucking do, and just whispers in my ear, security's waiting at the station. And I'm like, boom, let's go to the station. So we cross University, and to get to the stairs to Ossington, you gotta kind of, like, circle around to get to the stairs. So as we're circling around the wall to get to the stairs, I look over, and the fucking guy is crossing the road. So we get to the bottom of the stairs, and, like, the way Ossington works, like, you can get on, like, there's a stairway on either side of Queen. So they kind of meet in the Y, and then the bottom stick part of the Y is what goes to the ticket taker, if that makes any sense. So, either way, we get to the point of the Y, and I look at her friend, and I'm like, go on ahead, I'll catch right up. And I lean up against the wall to tie my shoe. Because I always leave my shoe untied, because it wards off wild pumas. And I'm like, well, this fucking guy's going to kill me anyway, so maybe I'll get lucky and the puma eats him first? I don't... So, as I'm tying my shoe, he comes walking by. And as he's walking by, he just stares a fucking hole through my soul. I was like, well, at least you didn't take a swing at me. Thank you for that. So he goes walking on ahead. I follow him. As I'm walking down the hallway to get to the ticket taker, I see the two girls with a couple security guards. There's a couple security guards walk out, just confront him right off the bat. And before I can, like, figure out what the fuck is what, like, do I go to the security guards with him? Do I go to the security guards with the girl? What the hell do I do? Suddenly there's a security guard beside me. He's like, excuse me, are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm with them. I've never seen a security guard in a TTC station before. Now there's like fucking 6 of them. All in one little spot. So we all go into the bowels of the subway station, and the two girls go into one room, the guy goes into another room, and I get stuck sitting in the hallway, and the security guard's like, just wait here. And I'm like, alright, whatever. And for reasons I've never been able to figure out, whenever I'm fucking clueless as to what's happening in the world around me, the song from Beavis and Butthead pops in my head. So as I'm waiting to figure out what the hell's what, I'm just like, excuse me. Hey, we get to the point too late here. So the cops show up. And a couple cops go into the room with the girls, and a cop goes into the room with the guy. And the cop that's in the room with the guy comes out and sits beside me, and he's like, alright, this guy's pretty sure this is all just a big misunderstanding. Like, people sit in parks. People ride the subway. He's pretty sure she's, like, your friend's crazy. And I'm like, she's not my friend, 1. And 2, check his phone. And the officer's like, why would I check his phone? So I pull out my phone and I hold it up and I'm like, get it the right way so this makes sense to you. So I hold my phone up and I'm like, what am I doing right now? If I'm on Facebook or I'm texting or I'm twittering my little twittiet friends, the phone's going to be on an angle because it's easier to hit the keyboard. If I'm holding my phone straight up, I'm taking a picture. The officer says, you saw him do that. And I'm like, we were in the park for about 20 minutes, and he stared at her the whole time with his phone out. Check his phone. The officer's like, hang on. Then he gets up, and he's in his little radio as he's walking away, and he walks into the room, and I'm just like, only I'm not, like, I'm just doing it in my head, because if I was just sitting in the hallway going, they'd fucking lock me away. So a few minutes later, he comes back out of the room, and he's like, all right, I need a statement. And I'm like, perfect, give me your paper. And I start writing, and he's like, so how do you know them? Referencing the girls. And I'm like, I don't. And he's like, what? What do you... And I'm like, I have no idea who she is. I have no idea who her friend is. I have no idea who this guy is. I don't know what's happening. And the officer's like, what the hell happened? So I tell him the story that I told you. Like, he's got the note, like, he took the notepad back from me, and he's like, what happened? So I tell him the story I told you. He's jotting it all down, and he's like, so you have no idea what's going on? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you don't know how long he was following her, where you have no idea what happened prior to her sitting down beside you. And I'm like, I don't even know her name. And he's like, okay, just sit here. And he gets up and he walks into the room that the two girls are in. And I'm just, I'm wishing I left my coffee in the park. I'm like, fuck, I could really use a drink of coffee right now. 3 Asian girls and a bottle of vodka would have been the preferred, but, you know, I'd have been happy with the coffee. So he comes walking out, and he's got another cop with him. And they're like, all right, you can go. And I'm like, that's it, eh? And he's like, well, we got your statement. I got your contact. And I'm like, is she okay? And he's like, it's going to be okay. You can go. And the other officer that's with him, as I go to stand up, and I'm like, all right, gents, well, thank you for your time. And the other officer sticks his hand out, and he's like, thank you. And I shake his hand, and I'm like, you're the one keeping her safe. And he's like, thank you. I don't know why people badmouth the police so much. I don't know, like Toronto police? I think they're good people.